When I stand before God at the end of my life, I hope not to have a single bit of talent left, saying I used everything He gave me. Everybody else. I want you to find somebody, I want you to look at them in their eyeballs. Eyeballs to eyeballs. Take them by the hands, smile at them, and repeat after me. I honor. Incredible. In you. Real fast, go find somebody else. And repeat after me. Repeat after me, because you're assuming I'm going to tell you to say the same thing. Right? I honor the incredible in you. Give them a hug and take your seat. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this picture from my phone, which was taken on March the 1st around the room, just so that you can see it. And it's important for me to do that for two reasons. Number one, because I know you just set a goal, right? I know you just broke down what it could possibly be, but if you've never seen it real live and in the flesh, you might not think it's possible. So what's going around right now is, as of March the 1st, the amount of revenue and sales that have come into my business, which is over 180,000. Okay, now I don't share that with you to brag. I share it because God is no respecter of persons. Amen. And if He can make it happen for me, this little girl that was born in the projects of Wilmington, Delaware, to drug and crack addicted parents, then I know damn well He can make it happen for you. But you have got to see yourself differently. You have got to see yourself the way that God sees you. So I want you for just a moment to think about that. In fact, I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to imagine that you are with God. And God is right now. Why are your eyes not closed? Oh. Please close your eyes. You open your eyes. Don't look at the phone yet because your eyes are closed. Y'all got to learn how to listen. Okay? And I want you to imagine that you are with God in this moment, right? And when I say God, you say whatever works for you. Universe, spirit. God is not offended, so neither am I. Okay? So, but God is, you're at a networking event with God. Why are your eyes not closed? I know I'm cute, but I'm going to be cute when you open your eyes in a few minutes. Okay? And you're at a networking event with God, and God is walking you around by the hand because He has people He wants to introduce you to. Hey. And you roll up on somebody, and God says, Susie, I want to introduce you to Jeanette. How does God describe you? Can you see it? Can you hear Him describing you to the people He needs for you to meet at the networking event? Can you see it? Shake your head yes. If you can hear Him describing you. Now I want you to open your eyes. Now for how many of you, be honest, is the vision and what you just heard God saying as He described you, is that the way that you would describe yourself? I know the answer is no. And you know why I know the answer is no? Because you guys are stepping over dollars to pick up pennies in your business. That's right. Because you're questioning your worth and your value. Because you're trying to figure out how you can make ends meet when you were born into a world that is abundant. That in John 10:10, God said, I sent my Son that thou might have life and have it how? More abundantly or to the full. But who'll be honest with me and tell me that right now your life is not full? Oh, yeah. Can I get a witness? Yeah. Do you want to learn how to shift that, how to change that? Because it can change just like that as soon as you decide. So a little bit about my story. So I started my business in late 2007. I was, prior to that, a Mary Kay Pink Cadillac sales director. I know I'm in Dallas, right? We used to come here every July for the seminar, right? And so I was a Pink Cadillac director from the state of Delaware, and I was doing extremely well. But I woke up one morning realizing that there was more for me. Yeah. How many of you have ever said, there has got to be more to life than this? Right? And I'm just realizing that selling lipstick is not what God had me for. That's not the reason why I left my good job in corporate America, right? I had made the decision that I wasn't going to sit behind anyone else's desk, but I was not living in my purpose. Amen. And I remember crying out to God, as I often do, as most of us do, right? Whenever we're at a point of despair. Because see, we don't call on Him when all is well. We wait until everything's going all types of wrong, and we're like, Lord Jesus, just please, right? Yes. And I did the same thing. I remember calling out, and I was like, God, I know You have more for me than this. Please show me. Now, I know what you may be thinking about yourself, but I'm here to tell you that I am his favorite. And you just need to accept it and move on with your life, because it'll help to make everything easier for you.
I'm sorry.
So am I.
So, no. So anyway, so that night I had a dream, and in my dream I saw myself walking into a building that had a marquee that read Incredible One Enterprises. And I woke up the next morning and I said, God, what in the devil is an Incredible One Enterprise? And he said, I want you to use the gifts and talents that I placed on the inside of you, and I want you to build a business around that. And so I went to work, right? I was excited. I was like you guys. I was writing it all down and I was figuring it all out. I knew how to use a calculator. I could set a big goal and break the numbers down, but it still wasn't happening, right? And so 2007 ends. I did $20,000 in revenue that year. And I'm gonna be honest and tell you how I did it. So I told you I was coming off my Mary Kay career, right? Well, I wrote this little book. It was called If You Understood My Past, You Would Understand My Praise. And I forced all 500 of my Mary Kay Cosmetics units people to buy a copy for themselves and for someone that they knew. So I sold 1,000 books at $20 a book. And how much is that? $20,000. And I was broke. And the money I had in the bank was starting to run out because I lived a six-figure lifestyle. I had been a six-figure vice president in corporate America, and I had a six-figure Mary Kay Cosmetics business. But how many of you know when you're not doing the work, the money goes away? And so here we are, 2008 rolls around, the money is getting low, and I had a decision to make. I had to decide, was I gonna keep on the path that I was on, or was I gonna take my behind back to work and get a job? And I chose the latter. I went back to work. Me, the girl who said I'm never sitting behind anyone else's desk again, I am unemployable. I humbled myself because I didn't know what I didn't know. And most of you are the same way. There are the things you know, there are the things you know you don't know, but then there's this whole other category of things that you don't even know that you don't know. Right. And that was my problem as I was starting to build this business. And so I took this job, and it was an okay job. But the most important thing that came out of taking the job was I ran a women's business center in the state of Delaware. I'm brilliant when it comes to messaging and marketing. My secret superpower is helping you to find the right words to get people to take the actions you want them to take. That's my jam all day long. But I didn't know business. And Mary Kay, for any of you who really know about it, it's a proven business model because somebody else made it up and all you're doing is following the steps, right? But when you come out into entrepreneurship for real for yourself, there ain't nobody doesn't know who you are, right? There ain't no proven brand that you can just walk up to a woman and say, hey, do you know anything about this? And she's like, oh yeah, I used to use it, but I lost my lady. And it opens up an opportunity for you to come in and serve her, right? And so I'm trying to start this business. I spent a lot of time getting ready. I'm creating content that I just know that when I finally burst out onto the scene, I'm like, I'm here! Everybody's gonna want it. Nah, nobody wanted it. Nobody wanted it, right? So I had to take this job, and I still had to file bankruptcy. Now see, filing bankruptcy used to be my secret shame. I was never gonna tell anybody that I filed bankruptcy because, you know, who knows? The story, what holds us, write this down. What will hold me back is the story that I tell myself. That's right. So the story I told myself is that if I kept this, if I told people about it, then they wouldn't believe that it was possible for me to help them in their business, right? And that was a lie from the pit of hell, just like the stories you're telling yourself are a lie, because you're worth more than $100, boo. So much more. If you are really helping someone to manage their online business, you should be generating tens of thousands of dollars a month, easily. But you don't, because you don't see yourself standing boldly and flat-footed. And I get it, because I was the same exact way. I knew from the moment I decided to leave my corporate job that I was $1 million business owner. I knew it. But knowing it and actually setting myself up to accomplish it were two entirely different things. And I would venture to guess that for most of you, that's the same problem you're having right now, right? I know what's possible for me. Because in those still small moments when I haven't allowed the day in and I'm just sitting and reflecting on how good God is, I hear him whisper to me what is possible for me and what he's already earmarked and reserved for me. But then I get up and I pick up my phone and I look at what's happening on Facebook, or I turn on the news and I get sidetracked, or somebody in my life life, who doesn't want me to achieve what I desire to achieve, tells me that they don't think it's a good enough idea. Because I'm not strong enough to stand on my own, I succumb. And before you know it, a year has gone by. 5 years have gone by. A decade has gone by. And you are still trapped in a business that you knew was meant to serve you. So I came by here today to help to give you some insight into the reasons why it's not happening for you. And what you can begin to do right now to have all of that change for you. And I want to do it because I think that you were born to win. You were born to win. And listen, God's only goal and mission is to get the glory. There is no glory in your struggle. So I need you to stop that, rewind, press pause on this whole misbelief and fallacy that I gotta struggle like Jesus struggled. No, boo. You don't have to struggle because he struggled. And quite honestly, he didn't struggle. He was fulfilling purpose. Right? But see, we have come to believe, or we have allowed others to lead us to believe, that we are better when we are not excelling, unless you happen to find yourself in a like-minded community of people, like being in a place like this. You're in a safe space where you can be supported to get out of your own way. But you and I both know that when you go home, the demons are going to pop back up. Although Oliver Wendell Holmes said that once a mind has been expanded, it can't return to the same place. So you guys are going against the odds to go back to what you know and what you're comfortable with, because you haven't figured out how to stay firmly and flat-footed in who it is that you are. And so I want to help you. I wrote some notes because it's possible for me, since I'm not doing a PowerPoint, to like get on tangents and tell you all this stuff that's irrelevant to what I really need to teach you. So I wrote some notes. I might pause at my notes. Those of you who watching on live stream, you know, might check my notes every now and again. But it's because I want to make sure that you get what you need to get. So Shantae alluded to this earlier. And the formula that is keeping you stuck is this. She talked about your feelings will keep you broke, right? So your feelings and beliefs impact your, your thoughts. Thoughts first. Your thoughts impact your feelings and beliefs, which impacts your actions and your results. So I think I could do $1 million. So I'm not even going to talk to you about $100,000 a year. Because if we're being honest, $100,000 a year is really $48,000 a year. And maybe less if I go ask Cosette, because I'm sure she can run them numbers for me real fast and tell me what it really comes out to. So aspiring to have a $100,000 business, stop. Your first money milestone is $250,000. Because at $250,000, you can pay yourself $6 figures. Amen. And you can afford to hire a team so that you're not a solopreneur masquerading as a CEO. Because that's what most of you are doing. You're not really a CEO. Because you haven't set your business up the right way to support you. Because see, I'm here with you on a Saturday, but I bet you right now I'm making money. Right? Yes. So we're going to do some things differently. So I think I can do $1 million. But then my feelings and my beliefs kick in. You know what? I don't really know anybody who's ever done $1 million. And if I make that kind of money, then people are going to start getting their hands out. No, they won't. You just tell them no. My dad, his lights went off one time. My dad is still an addict to this day. His lights went off. $1,400 electric bill. He calls me up. Darny, that's what they call me. Darny, I need a favor. I'm like, I'm listening. I was hoping you could get my lights turned back on. I said, well, tell me what happened. Well, you know what happens. You know how it goes. No, I don't know how it goes. Tell me what happened. And how long is the bill? Like, is this the first month that the bill is $1,400? Well, no, it's been going on for months. Well, why didn't you call me when it was $200? So the answer is no. No is a complete sentence, and you can tell them no. Just because you have money does not mean that they get to be in your checkbook, right? So you feel like it's not possible, because if you do it, you're going to have more responsibility. Most fear of success and failure is really the fear of responsibility. That we're going to have to show up greater more often. Tish yesterday, she said, I'm just always impressed by your level of consistency. Because see, in order to get whatever it is you want, you have to be consistent. You have to show up when you don't feel like it. Right? Amen. You have to show up when you don't know if anybody's going to be there. Right. I'm about a 4-city tour, and I normally, most years in my business I do a tour, but last year we didn't do one. And so we're doing a tour, and it starts this Tuesday coming. It was like 2 weeks ago, and we had like maybe one person registered in each city. I'm doing one in Delaware, Atlanta, Chicago, and DC, right? So I have like one person registered in each city. And I was like, and you know what I wanted to do? I wanted to be like, well, forget it. I just won't do it, right? But no, you got to show up no matter what, because once you put it out there, you have to keep with it, even if it doesn't go the way that you want. Because do you know there's always a ram in the bush? Yes, there's always a ram in the bush. And all you need is for one person to be in that room and to be admired and amazed by what it is that you do to set you on a trajectory to change your life. What you guys are holding fast to are lies that you told yourself or someone else told you. So one of the activities that I will have at my new live event, which is called Breakthrough in Business, I have some cards to share with you guys. One of the activities that we do at the event is we kill your inner 7-year-old. We literally have a funeral for the 7-year-old version of yourself. Does anybody want to know why we kill your inner 7-year-old? Because you were not born with a conscious mind. You were only born with a subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind is so powerful. You guys ever remember getting in the car and then the next thing you know, you're at home and you can't remember the drive? That's your subconscious mind. That's how powerful it is. 57,000 thoughts a day. Your subconscious mind is in control of. And so when you are born, your conscious mind is formed based on everything you experienced from birth to the age of 7. Which means that by the time you were 7 years old, the woman you were born to be on this planet was already shaped and formed. Is anybody else a little nervous? When I think back to who I was by the time I was 7, I had seen a lot. I had been sexually abused. I had watched my parents fight. I mean, it was just, I had watched struggle, right? A big part of the reason why, for me in my own business, it took me so long to cross over the $1 million mark was because of my money backstory, right? I watched my mom struggle. She would get money, and before she could even spend the money, it was gone. There was always this constant need of not having enough. And then when my mom went to jail and we went to live with my father told us every day and twice on Sunday that money did not go on a tree out back. And you had to work hard for money. So when I started building my business and I started making money and it was easy, felt like something was wrong with me because it wasn't struggle. I had to go back and undo all of those beliefs that had not been serving me, but I thought they had been for the first 7 years of my life, right? So all of the good and the bad and the ugly of who you are today is somebody else's doing. Somebody else created that for you. And at some point in time, you have to stop the tapes. So quick exercise that I'm gonna want you to do is I want you to take a sheet of paper and I want you to turn it landscape. And I want you to number it 1 to 7, 8 to 14, 15 to 21, 22 to 28, and so forth and so on, up into whatever age you are. Some of y'all might need 2 sheets of paper. I'm just saying, right? And I want you to try to go back as far as you possibly can. And I want you to see if you can find the patterns of the things that have happened in your life. Typically, when I'm working with clients, we do this specifically around money, but I want you to think about it for everything in your life. So I'm gonna tell on myself as you guys start to process that. So when I was 6, I was sexually abused. And in my life, until the age of 27, every 6 years in a 7-year pattern, I experienced a sexual trauma. Every time. Every 6 years. Because what's created in your first 7 years of living, you will replicate until you learn how to break the patterns. Alignment is about recognizing who God, the creator of this abundant universe, is and who he called you to be, and allowing yourself the space and the courage to line up to that. It sounds real simple, but it is a lot of work, a lot of things we have to do, right? There's some unforgiveness normally we need to do. I'm so bold as to say, how many of you, let me just do a quick survey of the room. How many of you have never made 6 figures in your business? Raise your hand. How many of you have made 6 figures but haven't made 7? Let me see your hands. Okay. So I'm going to be so bold as to say the reason you haven't crossed over to your next money milestone is because there's some unforgiveness somewhere in your life. You just sit with it. Just like the pockets thing yesterday. Just sit with it. I promise you, somewhere there's some unforgiveness. Let me tell about me. So I came into my business 2007, did 20,000. 2008, I don't even really want to talk about it. It was a terrible year. I got the job. 2009, $88,000 in revenue while I'm working a full-time job. I committed to working my business on nights and weekends because if you want something you've never had, you got to do what? Something you've never done. So I forwent having a personal life and taking vacation. I used all my vacation time to go and travel and do speaking engagements so that I could hone and perfect my skill and get clients. $88,000 was the result at the end of 2009. 2010, $250,000. 2010, I was like, ooh, I'm cooking with gas now. I'm about to do this thing. I'm about to blow up. Y'all remember the episode of Martin? He was about to go out to California, right? And because Tommy Davidson was on the show. He said, we're in LA, you come see me. Right? He grabbed Tommy and Cole and he was like, listen, we about to be like, what did he say? I can't remember, I just forgot it. It's gonna be like we have on gasoline drawers with a match. When I blow up, boom, boom, you blow up. No, I was ready. I just knew I was about to blow this thing up. Next year, we did just shy of $500,000. But wait, I set a goal to do $1 million. Online, when you look at what everybody else is doing, they're going from $250,000 to $1 million. Why am I not doing it? 2012 comes in, same thing, just over $500,000. This time I'm like, what is going on? Why can't I got all the goods? I got my prices right. I hope Cosette say I've realigned my pricing. I've realigned my pricing strategy. I'm not charging pennies no more. It's an investment to work with me. I'm good. Why am I not hitting the $1 million mark? 2013, I had an encounter. I was at my live event. This was the last time, no it wasn't, the next to the last time we did it in the DC area. And someone registered for my event literally the day before the event. Never knew this person before, they weren't on my list. Comes into the event, she comes the first day and she introduces herself to me. She's like, I don't know why I'm here, but I'm just here. I just learned about it and decided I would come. Okay, bet, I'm excited. She registered the day before, that was $997. Ka-ching, right, that's $1,000. So anyway, we're at the event, day 3, I wake up and I have this unction in my spirit. Have you ever felt the presence of the Lord so much that it was like about to come out of your mouth? I woke up that way, and so I went down to the meeting room, and before anybody came in, I walked around and I touched every seat. I spoke in my prayer language over it, and I just blessed the room and fortified it. This lady walks in. She's like, today, God gave me a word for you. I've been trying to figure out why I was here this whole time. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm a little nervous because, I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know if I believe her. Then she starts speaking over my life. And whenever someone brings you a prophetic word, they first bring confirmation, right? So it's legit and it's not somebody just trying to give you something that's not the truth, right? And so anyway, so I'm listening and I'm kind of relaxing a little bit. I'm into what she's saying, and she said, the Lord told me to tell you that if you would take a bold stand for him, he'll make it easy. He'll make it easy. And I was like, okay, well, what does that really mean? But it wasn't up to her to tell me that. I had to kind of go back and process. And so I started in 2013. That's when she said we had 78 people in that room. By 2014, the last time we did the event in the DMV, we had 265 people in the room. Wow. With no additional marketing. With no additional strategy. We did the same thing we do every year. We're hosting a live event. And we more than triple the number of people in the room. Like, that's crazy. That's bananas. No, that's God. Right? Because when we see ourselves the way that God sees us, anything is possible. And so between 2013 and 2014, I created what I now call the Breakthrough Blueprint. And I went through the process because I don't do theory. And any of my clients that are in the room will tell you, I don't do theory. I'm never going to present something to you that I don't know. So like Facebook ads, I don't teach that. I don't know it. That's not what I do. I don't do Facebook ads. Actually, we just started doing Facebook ads, so you might see it running, but like it's a small budget. It's like $300 because I'm like, I ain't got money to waste until we know this thing's gonna work. I'm not doing it. I'm an offline kind of girl. I go speak, I open my mouth, I make money. That's what I do, that's what I teach. Anyway, so I started running the blueprint, and as I was going through and getting clear about what I want, that's the first step. Break down what you really want. Shantae is helping you to do that right now. You guys are setting goals for what it is you really want, right? Soon as you know what it is you want, it exposes the gap. Shantae said that, right? Let's close the gap, right? But here's the thing. The gap can't be closed until you deal with unforgiveness. Yeah. So I did this exercise at my event last year. They were ready to fight me. They didn't want to let go of their abuser. They wanted to keep holding him captive for what he had done to them when they were younger. They didn't want to forgive their parents. They didn't want to do this. I promise you, if you have not hit the mark, you don't need new strategy. You don't need new strategy. I don't know what your numbers are, but you might need to raise your prices a little bit, but 9 times out of 10, there is something in your heart that is keeping you from hitting the goal, because God wants you to win. He doesn't get the glory if you struggle. Nobody is going to be drawn to him if you struggle. He wants you to be an example of what it is like to know him in his fullness. And he don't get that if you struggle. So you're going to have to do your unforgiveness work. So again, making this about me. So 2013, 2014, I'm going through this process, and I'm realizing same goals, same price point, same everything. It's exactly the same every year, but we're not hitting it. And something, and we all know whenever we say something, we're really talking about what? Spirit of God, right? The Spirit was like, you have to deal with this, right? And so then I'm like, okay. So I was like, well, let me make a list. Let me make a list of all the people who've ever wronged me in my life, right? It was like, it was like that long. It was like that many people on the list. And I was like, okay. And I just started one by one running what I call the forgiveness protocol. One by one, just going through it. By the time we got to 2 weeks before the event, my conscience was finally clear. I mean, some people, like my brother, my oldest brother, he had this one baby's mama that I did not like. I can't even tell you why I didn't like her, but I didn't like her. One time we got into an altercation. I had to run her through the protocol like 7 times. I can't even tell you why we were fighting, but I was still holding resentment in my heart for her. I had to run her through 7 times. So it may take time to do it, but by the time we got to the event, literally 2 weeks before the event, I felt clear. I remember taking the stage. Some of you were there in 2014. I remember Tish was there. That was the year, was that the first year you spoke? Oh no, maybe you just attended that year. I don't know. Anyway, I remember taking the stage, and we had Muslims from Saudi Arabia. Remember? We had atheists, we had Jews, we had Protestants, we had people who rededicated their lives to God at my business conference. Yeah. Y'all remember the old school shout circles?
Oh yeah.
Oh, we had some shout circles going at the business event. Because God said he would make it easy if I did my work. And I wrote it down because I was like, let me tell them how we did $1 million that first time. So I had 265 people in the room. Of those 265 people in the room, I had 145 buy-in units. Whoa. So a buy-in unit are the people in the room who are eligible to invest in themselves through you, right? So I had 30 people enrolled in a $5,500 program. I had 50 people enrolled in a $10,000 program. I had 15 people enroll in a $25,000 program and 5 people enroll in a $60,000 program. I had 100 of my 148 buying units buy. And that was $1.34 million in 3 days because I did my work. So I said all of that to say this. No amount of profit playbook planning session is going to change the trajectory of your life if you don't do your work, if you don't get out of the way, if you don't rise up and see yourself the way that God sees you and forgive everyone that you've left in the wake. Your mom did the best that she could with what she had. Amen. She did. Your dad, he didn't know any better. Your ex this, your old best friend that, they did the best that they could. They were broken people because somebody in their first 7 years of living did something similar to them. And you have to let it all go. And you have to realize that today, in this moment, standing flat-footed, you are equipped. Because before you were formed in your mother's womb, God knew you. Yes. And he approved you, and he called you prophet. And in this moment right now, at I think it's still 11. I didn't change my clock. 11:51 and 32 seconds.
Eastern time.
11. Okay, yeah. So that is Eastern time. So y'all change it to CST, so it works. And wherever you are out there, you change it to that. Right now, in this moment, you are it. You are enough. You don't need to lose 1 pound. But if you try keto, you might lose like 22 pounds. That's how big it is. You don't have to. I'm just saying, right? You don't need to grow an inch of hair. You don't need to perm your hair. You don't need to straighten it out if you don't want to. You don't have to be anything different than you are. In this moment, there are people that are waiting for you. And the sooner you let go of the fears, the self-sabotage, and the limiting beliefs, the sooner you will meet them. It's been so interesting to just kind of track my journey as I've continued to do my work and to see what happens. So that, again, the reason my phone is going around, because I wanted you to see what it's like to be tracking $1 million. And it's more than that. That was on March the 1st, but I don't know my password by heart, so I couldn't get in there to give you a real time as of March the 9th, right? But I want you to know that it's possible for you. It is totally possible. Shantae is literally gonna hand you the keys to the castle, literally. What you do with those keys is going to determine whether or not when we see you next year's Profitable Woman Playbook, if you're going to be in the same position or a different position. And if you don't trust yourself to do the work yourself, get the guidance and support that you need to do it, right? Some of you straight up need a therapist. And coaches are not therapists. But there is a therapist in the room. Some of you just need somebody to breathe belief in you and show you that it's possible by holding you by the hand to take the steps to get the results. When Shantae came to me at the conference in 2015, I was like, and I knew like who had did her wrong, and I was like, it was important for me to be redemption for her. Because see, coaching the industry, there's nothing wrong with it. Just like in church, there's nothing wrong with it, right? But there are some people that are in the pulpit that are pimping, and that's what's creating the problem. We're not going there, so y'all stop amening it. Just stop it. Just stop, because that's going to take us in a whole other direction. But just know the same thing is for the coaching industry. And those of us, those of you who have really been called to change the lives of people and usher transformation in, you got to know that you know that you know that you know. I knew that I could change her mind. I knew that I could get her on a path because she already had the goods. You already have the goods. You don't come to us without the goods. We just help you to see them. Yes. We have to refine whatever the thoughts are so that they actually show up as results for you, right? And I know we're talking about profit, and it is about profit, but it's more about cash flow. It's more about cash flow, right? Because that's what opens you up to be able to experience that fully in your life. So another quick story. You're going to have to tell me where I am on time. Fine. Okay. So another quick story. So a few years ago, I did like 3 different things that are kind of outside of my character to do, but I did them because I'm like, I'm making great money. I should have these things, right? So I bought a pair of Christian Louboutins, which you'll probably never actually see me wear because some shoes are not comfortable, and I don't know why. I don't know why people buy them. Like I had to buy them in a size 11. I wear a size 9, so they're like I had to be 2 sizes too big to still be too small. Anyway, they're purple, they're patent, they're so cute. But you might see them in a picture sitting over to the side, or I might have them on if I'm sitting down, but you will not see me walking them because I've been messing around and broke my neck. But anyway, I bought these shoes. And then like 2 years ago, my company bought me, my car that was on my vision board was a BMW X5, right? Test drove the Range Rover, that wasn't my dream car, I wanted the X5. Fully owe it every bell in the whistle. Well, 2 years ago, my company bought me the X5, right? And if you want to know how your company can buy you one, you need to go talk to Cosette, because she'll hook you up with how to make that happen for your business. Because see, when you start making millions, you need to spend some of it so that you don't pay it all in taxes. Because see, my first year, 2014, we did, that total year we did 1.8. I was an LLC. It was not an LLC filing as an S Corp, which I happen to be today, which is the best thing since. And so when it was all said and done, all of our expenses were up. I ended up paying up almost $400,000 in taxes. Because I didn't know what I didn't know. And I didn't know we were going to do it, because every year I set the goal to do $1 million, but we never did it. Who knew by doing my work I would actually open myself up to hitting the goal I've been setting for years. But anyway, but I've since learned some things, and now we don't pay them kind of taxes. But you need to get support, and a lot of it, who already has a six-figure business? So those of you who already have a six-figure business, put your hand up, talk to her. Because if you, who has a six-figure business that is not an LLC filing as an escort? Good. You can just be an escort.
Okay,
but it's, okay, let me leave that alone, because I'm not a tax strategist, and I don't play one on TV. I know what I know, but I don't know what I don't know. But good. So can y'all give them a round of applause? They are all set up to maximize what they're making in their business. You want to make sure that you're doing the things you need to do so you get to keep that money. Do y'all have SEPs? Self-employed or 401ks? You need one. You're not going to put $55,000 a year in that thing tax-free? You need that. Talk to her. So see, I can make great money in my business. And my husband and I, we just built a 7,700 square foot home. I was able to retire him from a job he hated because of my business. Because I did my work. Because you already have the goods. You might need a little tweaking in your pricing and what you're offering. Because see, I'm going to teach you that you can have $1 million business with 2 offers. With just 2 offers. Not a $500 this and a $1,000 that and a $2,500 that. No, just 2 well-priced offers. Because see, if you have all of that stuff, you have a wide business model, which means you're going to work really hard for your money. Right? And I know that's what Donna Summer was peddling in the 70s. But we ain't working hard for our money no more. We're not doing that. So you got to learn how to trimline it, bring it down into a deep business model so it will work for you. I think my time is up. I don't know if I told you everything I was going to tell you. So real quick, let me just make sure I say the things I want. So your mindset can cost you everything. Your energy, inspiration, intelligence, time, and money are lost on your fears and limiting beliefs. If you, and then this is conservative, if you waste just 2 hours a day on fear, on overwhelm, or comparing yourself to other people, that is the equivalent to 730 hours in a year or $180,000 in income if you only charge $250 an hour, which I'm not suggesting that you charge by the hour, by the way. But that's $180,000 a year that you are wasting on fear. I need to stop that. Okay, let's see what else I got here.
You got 5 minutes.
Oh, I got 5. Oh, I thought I had 5 minutes ago. Oh, okay.
You use your 5.
Oh, okay.
Got 5 on this.
Okay, any beliefs that require struggle. Oh, yeah, you need to get rid of any beliefs that require that you struggle before you experience success. You gotta let all of that go. Stop comparing yourself to others. I was the biggest compare yourself to others person in the universe. Because when I was a child, I have 7 brothers and sisters, and I was the one who never got into trouble and all of that. And so they hated me, and my parents were always comparing us to each other. Yeah. So I was constantly looking left and right and never looking straight ahead. And I believe that is a big part of my derailment from my destiny. So it doesn't matter what they're doing over there. You gotta look straight ahead, right? Actually, everybody have like a pair of sunglasses? Okay, pull your sunglasses out.
Oh, no, I wish.
Or sunglasses, the glasses, regular glasses you wear. Take 2 sheets of paper off your little thing, and I want you to thread the edges of your glasses through that. Let me see yours, Dr. Angela. I'm not trying to steal them. I'm just borrowing them for a second. They are cute. You wanted to let me hold them, I wouldn't be mad at you. I don't think this is 2 sheets. All right, so you're going to do this. You're going to put a little hole in it. Okay, this isn't going to work as well as it did in my mind. So we just going to pretend like it's going to work. Put a little hole in it. Then I want you to put your glasses on. See how you got blinders? You can't look left or right. You can only look straight in front of you. Put your blinders on and run your race because God has already equipped you and given you everything that you need. Get clear on what you crave. Get clear. And listen, you can want what you want just because you want it. You don't need to quantify or justify just because you want it. Just because you want it. Confusion will limit your cash flow. We talked about unforgiveness and misalignment. And then take action and make sure that you don't have a mediocre circle of influence. And let me say this last thing. Money needs a purpose to flow.
Amen.
Write that down. Money needs a purpose to flow. Money needs a purpose to flow. So if you have the balls to say you want to make $1 million, be clear on why you want it. Because if you are unclear about why, you will keep it stalled in the universe. There's this universal law. It's called the law of circulation. This is the Darnyelle version. You might want to go look it up if you want to hear exactly what it says. But it basically says that abundance is constantly moving around us at an ever-expanding rate. There are a series of things that any of us can that we can do that will stop abundance right in front of us. A couple of examples. How many of you gone out to a restaurant and did not tip your waiter or waitress at least 18%? Y'all lying. Y'all know y'all done it. They didn't bring you water when you won, or somebody, she ain't done her tickets. She better look both ways before she crosses the street. Y'all know y'all done it? Well, guess what? The law of circulation stops. And you will not get abundance because of that. If you don't charge what you should be charging for the service that you render, the law of abundance stops. If somebody gives you a compliment, I don't care if the dress has been in your closet since you were a natural blonde. You say thank you. Because when you don't say thank you, guess what? You stop the law of circulation from flowing. All of these things are impacting your abundance, and they are the reason that you don't have a profitable business.
Yes.
That's it. Take the strategies that Shantae is going to share with you today. Learn them, try them on, soak them up, but then do your work. And if you would like help doing your work, we'll talk about that later, what that looks like and how I can participate in your journey. But I got you if you want me to have you.
Yeah.
When I stand before God at the end of my life, I hope not to have a single bit of confidence left saying, I used everything He gave me. My name is Darnyelle Jervey Harmon, and I will help you to shake the planet if you let me.